Welcome to the Budapest Speed Shop. Working on this 1976 Mercury marquee. Now it's almost done, but let's get back to it. This is the second part. If you haven't seen the first part, I leave the first part in the description. So let's make a plan how to proceed. Now that it's out, I can make a little plan how to proceed. So first, I think I'm gonna have to undress it. Take the engine mounts off because I want to change the freeze plugs, and the freeze plugs are living right under the engine mounts. And then I can take the starter off because you want to separate the engine from the transmission. Take that lower cover off where we can reach the torque converter nuts. Then I can take this whole front section off, fuel pump off, and then finally we can get to the once the engine is separated, then we go from there. I repaired the freeze plug before, which was under the engine mount, and the repair is still successful. I just used JB Weld and a piece of metal, and it was cleaned very much, and it is still good. However, it's a good thing that I took it apart because on the other side it's already leaking, so I'm gonna need to change all the freeze plugs on it, which I have already. And then I took the starter motor off, and here's the flex plate, and I'm trying to find the nuts which holds the torque converter to the flex plate, because what I usually do is I separate them and leave the torque converter with the transmission to make sure nothing gonna bend, not the end of the torque converter, not the flex plate, nothing gonna bend if I do it this way. So now I'm gonna try to find, I got two of the nuts out already, so now I'm looking for the third one, and some Lincolns or actually have 4 of these. I don't know how many this one has, we'll find out. There it is, and there is a drain plug next to it to let the torque converter all down if you wish to do that. On some earlier Lincolns, they actually had 4 of these nuts, not just 3. So you gotta be careful with it. But I'm gonna turn the engine until I see another one, which would be, taken off, to make sure that all of them are off. There it is. I told you there might be a 4th one. Right there. The other possible problem source is down on these transmission cooler lines. If you look at it, how rusted that is, it's most likely from the Minnesota salt. That could be a problem. So is this one. So I'm kind of thinking I'm gonna make a new one of both the vacuum and the cooler lines as well. So before I separated these, I lifted up the engine just a little bit to make sure that the flex plate would not touch the ground, because that could cause problems in later. It could bend a little bit, and then it will basically kill the seal or do something, some damage in the transmission. So as you see, the torque converter slid back in very nicely, and the flex plate is up in the air. I'm gonna lift the whole engine up a little bit so I can take the flex plate off, because I want to make sure that it's damn sure that it's not gonna get hurt while I'm doing something on the engine. Next, we're gonna take this off, and I have a little puller here, and with the puller we're gonna actually just do this and it'll come right off. Well, the exhaust manifold came off on the other side, but 2 bolts broke in. On this side, well, so far 2 bolts broke, and then one's head is so rotten that I cannot even put the wrench on it. It just basically spins on it. So I got this set over here what I'm gonna use to extract that one bolt. But what's just, the head is just spinning on it. I couldn't resist to try this header on, just to see. Man, it's gonna look great. Super excited over it. Now I just need to get those bolts out and then keep on trucking. It's time to get out the broken studs. When I started to look for my little welder, I realized that the hoses needs replacing badly. So I had to go to Harbor Freight and buy a new one, which probably gonna last just as long, just as much as this one. So anyhow, I'm gonna start warming it up and hope for the best. Well, that didn't work out too well. It just barely pushed on it and it just snapped. So most likely I'm gonna have to put a time cert in this one. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, so I'm gonna have to drill. And when I drill it, I usually use these time certs. This time cert is a really clever thing. That's what it looks like. And first, this actually requires a larger hole than the thread used to be. Then put a little bit of a shoulder in it with this, followed by a new thread, which is a lot larger than the original thread was. And then there is this. Now we're gonna start moving to the front of the engine, and I just pulled off the fuel pump. Got the 2 bolts out, and I just put this fuel pump on not too long ago. And then we're gonna come out. It's got a really long arm, which gonna push it up and down. And this one has a return line. Not all of them has a return line. Well, I was drilling the hole here, drilling, and then suddenly it went through and broke the drill bit. So now I gotta have to find a way to get the drill bit out of there. Fantastic. It took me a while, but I got the broken bolt out. Or actually I have a hole instead of it, but I'm waiting for the time cert to be able to drill the proper hole with it. But meanwhile, I'm gonna remove these freeze plugs. You can see this one under the engine mount was already leaking. So it's a good thing I'm gonna change these. There, now I got everything out. It's really dirty inside, so there's a lot of debris in there, so we're gonna clean it all out and then wash it all out, and then we're gonna install the new freeze plugs. The way I usually fix these, for the last 30 years it worked, that I use JB valve. The only way JB valve gonna work if first you're gonna really clean the surface. This is not clean. I usually put a bunch of carb cleaner on it and with wire brush, I wire brush it up. I only do this if I can't get this out because it's so far in or I don't want to mess with it. So I let the coolant down to make sure there's no coolant involved, because the coolant will prevent it from bounding. And then once it's all clean, very clean everywhere, then I find a washer which is just about the same size, because you need to have a sandwich, otherwise it's not going to work right. So first, once it's all clean, I'm going to push the JB valve in it, and then I'm going to have this washer which is going to be the same size about what goes in here. We'll push that in there like a sandwich. It's going to push through all these holes, and then I'm basically make sure it's all smooth, and then I wait a day. You gotta wait a day. Doesn't matter what JB valve says. It probably takes 24 hours to actually cure and bond nicely, and after that it works just fine. I did it on many cars. So this one is done apparently. So we're gonna change it to a new one tomorrow. Now that we got the freeze plugs out and the bolts dealt with, I'm gonna pull this whole thing over to the front somehow, and I will try to attempt to put it outside and wash it out. Hopefully will work out. I have a tool what I got from England which mixes compressed air with tap water, and then it will basically creates bubbles, and it washes the whole thing out really nicely, the whole cooling area inside the engine. And it was not easy to do. It was freaking heavy. Well, I guess it's a 460. It's not a light engine. From the Trabant what I have, I just pulled it out by hand, and it was very easy. But with this one, it was hard. I had to use this bar in order to lift up the front of the jack, and now it's where I want it to be. And it looks like I forgot to pull one of these cables off. Nice. But now comes the washing part. This is what this gun looks like. There's a compressed air comes in from this side, and then the water hose coming from that side. There is a valve where I can modulate or close the water, and then when you pull the trigger, that's when it mixes the water with the air, and then it makes bubbles really, and then you can clean the inside of the engine where the water jackets are. It works really well. I'm looking at it, I might just gonna cover up the ignition because I don't want it to be wet. As you can see, this thing works wonders. So I really like it. It's just freaking freezing here right now. In order to get the power washer out, I'm gonna have to move this pit bike, the Corvair van, and then the terrarium, which my kids don't use anymore, the unicycle, and then there it is in the corner, the power washer sitting there. I've assembled the very loud power washer, and yeah, I'm gonna get to it and try to wash this thing off a little bit. Well, it's done. It's a hell of a job. I'm really glad I have a real job, not this. Yeah, it's hard work. So I got it done. So just gonna dry a little bit, and then I'm gonna go in and take a shower because it's freaking freezing and I'm full of water everywhere. I successfully pushed the damn thing in. It's freaking heavy. And then now I use a little compressed air and cleaned it off a little bit, and then now I got all the bolts out from the lower pan, and now we're gonna try to hit it and get the lower pan off. This is why I wanna get it off right after washing, because it's full of stuff. So it's like a little waterish oil, and then we're gonna start cleaning it up. But it looks fairly clean inside. If you look at this side, it's pretty clean. I got the few bolts off of this front cover, and now you can see the timing chain, and this one is on the crankshaft, and then the other one is on the camshaft. It's time to clean it a little bit because I got some water on it from the washing, so I don't want it to get rusty. So I'm gonna blow it off with hot air, with the compressed air, and then clean it up a little bit. I got that AC bracket off. I'm probably gonna paint that too. And then on the table, the front cover is getting ready. I fixed the broken in bolt with a time cert right there, and clean it up a little bit. I'm gonna flip it over and do the other side as well. Found the seal in the kit, so we're gonna change it. I hit the old one out, and we're gonna press the new one in. Here are the new seals I got from O'Reilly's. Here's the lower pan, gasket, and then all the rest, including the fuel pump, which I'm really happy about. Now I'm gonna clean off the old gaskets and all the surface area where this front cover will go on. I'm kind of thinking what to do next. I really would need a engine holder, but I don't have one right now because I got two of those over there on that V12 Lincoln engine, and I got one behind the car, which is the 352 Ford engine is on it for this pickup truck. So the only thing I can do is put it on some moving blankets and flip it upside down and hope for the best. Now that the sun is working on those parts outside, we're gonna concentrate on this rear engine seal. So we're gonna change it. It's a 2/2 seal, so it's gonna be a little bit tricky to change that, but we'll make it happen. The plan is we're gonna remove these two big bolts what's holding the crankshaft shell on, and then we can get to it. 13/16 with the Makita. And that's it. All right, hit it a little bit, and now we can get it off. Well, just to see what the bearings look like, I opened up the next one. I already cleaned it off, by the way, but yeah, it looks like it had its time already finished, so I need to change these bearings, unfortunately. The main seal made out of 2 halves, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to hit it here, since it was already changed, so it's might just gonna come right out. It's out. Super cool, right there. Just gotta pull it out. So here's the old one. Let's install the new one. I usually grease up all my seals before I put them in so it wouldn't burn. I had some burned seals before. You can use the assembly lube as well. I just like the grease. I install this back in, and I just keep pushing it back in, and it will eventually goes all the way forward, and then I can just leave a little bit out like they asked. Unfortunately, the last guy who put that together put a little bit of sealant on it, which will change the orientation of this cap. So I just gotta take that off of it to make sure it will seat back nicely. Everything is ready. I cleaned up the surfaces on it. The seal is actually a little bit greased up, and I put the assembly lube on the bearing part, and now we can actually put it in. The only problem is I need to move this a little bit out. There's not enough part sticking out. It's supposed to be 3/8 of an inch. Okay, now we're ready to put this on, and then hope for the best. Got this one. You gotta be careful with these bolts. You must not tighten one down and then try to put the other one in, because they gonna have to pull this cap down. So just basically you gotta tighten it by hand, move it a little bit, and go lower and lower and lower, and then finally tighten it up. It's about 100 foot-pounds what it needs to be tightened with. So I got the torque wrench there, which I'm gonna torque it down with. Now that it's all here, now we're gonna go around and clean all these holes and the surfaces, and then we're gonna get ready to put on the front cover, and then we're gonna install the oil pan. So I've decided to change the main bearings. This box disappeared, what I ordered, and then finally somebody brought it back, so actually now I can actually change it. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna take the oil pump off so we can get access to the crankshaft, and then we're gonna remove the crank and change all the bearings, the rod bearings and the main bearings as well. But before we do that, we need to make sure that this is on time. So we're gonna time it first to make sure that the 2 dot is actually matching up, to make sure that we can put it back the way it was. In order to be able to turn the engine easier, I'm gonna take all the spark plugs out. I got the 2 main oil pump bolts out, and now I have a box here where I can store it in. Now that we got the oil pump out of the way, we can put this one on the timing mark. Put the harmonic balancer on it with the little key. Now we're gonna be able to move the engine until we see the timing marks lining up. So you can see there's a mark here and there's a mark on the block, so that actually points right to it. There's the Stift, but it's not a mark. That's basically the key to hold the gear on. And then underneath I got this dot here, and this points to the other one. And easier to remember is that this gear piece is actually pointing to that indent in casting. So what I'm gonna do, my plan is to take this bolt out, the camshaft hopefully not gonna move, then we can remove the whole thing. And then once we get the crankshaft back in position, I'm gonna put this small gear on it, and I'm gonna align the crankshaft until it's in the same position as now. Hopefully this one didn't move. And then when I put everything back together, I should see the same picture, this dot showing to this indent here, and then this show to that mark there. And then we should be in good shape. You can see the camshaft and the gear from the distributor, and we are ready for action here. So first thing I'm gonna do is remove the caps from the connecting rods, and they are numbered. They're very important that they go, they keep their orientation and they go back to the same place where they came out of. I'm gonna do pretty much the same thing on the rest of it, and I'm gonna put that on video because it's gonna take too long. And then we're gonna continue with the mains once I have all the connecting rods separated. All right, so now we got the rod caps off, and now we can do the mains. And throughout this heart surgery, I was playing a little bit of Hank FM, the local country station, for this engine to make it feel better. I used to work in an engine rebuild place, and we always just knocked on the bolts a little bit to make them loose, and then we can get them off. Now we're gonna try to hold it up. It's freaking heavy, and then I'm gonna put it on the piece of cardboard. You're not too shabby, but now they're gonna have, it's gonna have new bearings. There are some of these what worried me a little bit. You can see it's got a little hot sometimes, and anyhow, it's gonna have new ones. Hopefully it's gonna work for a long time. Unfortunately, the bearing what I got is not the correct one. Everything is fine, but it doesn't fit, or it fits, it's just that turn preventer is at the wrong spot. You see it's at the middle a little bit, not on the side. So I really don't know how to make this happen. So this one fits very nicely, the original one. Go back in there, and you can see that fits just fine. So for some reason it's at the middle. I asked for a bearing set, and it says it on the box that is also for a 460. So maybe there's a newer 460 or a different 460. I don't know. But now I'm scratching my head and thinking what the heck I'm gonna do. Let's see what O'Reilly's has. as it turns out, I'm a dumbass. But I found the right bearing. It was in the package. I just supposed to dig deeper. So this is one side, and then the other one comes on the top, what I was trying to put in, and the little wedge is at a different position for the upper one or the lower one than the upper one. So that's what caused the problem here. So I just gonna have to clean everything now. I'm gonna remove all the bearings and clean every surface there is to clean, and then we can start putting it back together. So the next problem, I don't have enough rod bearings because I bought this one. I thought this is a set. Yeah, this is a set for one piston. It had 2 halves, nothing more. It's 2 of these, so it's not a set. Great. So now I'm gonna have to find new rod bearings, and meanwhile I gotta go to Europe, so yeah, that's not good. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time when we're gonna actually gonna put that engine back into this beast.